Was it something that you had to get used to? Like the idea that, you're standing over a person, their chest is open, they're relying on a machine to breathe and have their blood circulate. Their life is in your hands. I understand there's the obviously the technical component to being a surgeon. That's like you're a car mechanic. You're hooking up this to that, that to this. This is how this works. But it's a machine. Now you're a person standing over another person with their life in your hands. How did you learn to deal with that aspect of it?
Honestly, it's time and repetition. You get, much like you said, the mechanic that is just so accustomed and comfortable around this part connects to this part, and this is what makes this work. You do so many repetitions, thousands of times, that you don't even think of it in that way. You just kind of think of it very systematically. Like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is step one, step two, and it's subconscious. But of course, yeah, at first, it is the most intimidating thing you can possibly imagine, because the skill level, takes time to develop to get to the point where, the heart's a moving target. You're not, putting stitches on something that's stationary. The sutures that we use, they're like, hair strands. So if you tie them too tight, they break. If you don't tie it tight enough, they bleed to death, right? So it's just getting that experience over time. It takes years and thousands of repetitions, and there's no way around it. You get comfortable, though, after a while.
Do you start by working on animals, like pigs' hearts first? Is that how it starts?
Not really. I mean, it's really, you go through this whole graduated responsibility, kind of like an apprenticeship. So you first have to learn how to do basic, smaller procedures, a hernia repair, things that the stakes aren't as high. It's simple movements, simple procedures, and then you work your way up. And then when you get to training in heart surgery, the first step may be, okay, you got to master how you're going to open the chest perfectly. How are you going to open the breastbone right down the middle, not deviating, you get that down. Okay, I got that. Then you go to the next thing. Okay, how am I going to connect someone to the heart-lung machine? Putting the stitches in perfectly, and you get that down. And then you sort of so on and so forth. You kind of move your way up through the ladder of procedure complexity and stuff like that.
So let's say I find out I need a heart transplant, right? And I'm going to seek out a doctor for that. Do I try to find a doctor who's Rembrandt or Einstein? Do you need to be smart to be a heart surgeon, or just great with your hands and like an artist? Like, in other words, there's two sides to it, right? When you're becoming a doctor, you go through this weeding out process of education. You have to score in the very, very high end of your classes, and, even to get into medical school and so forth, and to get the best residency. So there's obviously this part, intellectually, you have to be at the very, very top of the heap. But when you get to the top of that heap, my guess is that there are all smart people there, and it starts to come down to who's just like an artist at this stuff, who has got a feel for it. So is that true?
I think it's somewhat true, but also you'll find that it's judgment. It's knowing, for example, I'll get a call about a donor heart, right, for one of my patients that's waiting. The donor heart may not be perfect, so I have to kind of make the judgment call, weigh the risks, benefits, and say, this heart, no heart's perfect, number one, but this heart is perfect enough, quote unquote, for my patient that needs one. So it's a lot of judgment calls, because you like, to your point, when you get to the level where you can do it technically, it's not that you can't do it, it's should you be doing it in that person? Is this the right time? Deciphering, kind of knowing if someone's tissues are really, not everyone's the same on the inside. Some people's tissues are really, really friable, and the stitch that you threw yesterday that was no problem today is tearing through tissue because it's so fragile. So it's that judgment of knowing what you're dealing with, when to make the call, when not to, that really, I think, separates the really, really good from just the best.